Hey everyone, Jeff here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something that you guys have been asking for a bit, and that is a gear slash talent guide, and that today it is going to be for Avoron. Now, the way I've decided to do it is for each character, there is kind of a designed path because of the damage types being split up between the, the 5 or 6 different types, that certain characters do better with certain builds. So in Avoron's case, he is an attack power character. Those are like his 2 damage types and talents he has that scale off of it. So we're going to focus on those. You can obviously play them in whatever way you want to, but these are going to be the most effective ways. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over talents. Which ones I think are good, which ones I think are bad, and in between must-haves and all that stuff. And then after we do that, I'm going to go over some of the gear and like general good practices that I would use to clear darkness 30. And then some of the stuff I might use to push to darkness, higher darkness levels that don't really matter because gear caps out at darkness 30. But anyways, let's go over the talents. So I'm going to say this at the beginning of every video for every character. For dice, you always take it. There's no reason not to. You would always click on dice. Ignore what I'm actually clicking on for the sake of it. I'm just opening up the tree as we go down to help me out while I'm recording this. So yeah, always take your alteration dice, every character. I don't think there's ever a reason not to. 4 alteration dice is so powerful. Power damage is great if you're going for power. Obviously, it's pretty easy to put points into it. I'm just going to jam some points in so we move down the next tree. Luck. Holy Guidance here with luck is very specific and generally probably not worth it because of the way it works, where it is not like 1-to-1. So if you have like 10% luck on your gear and 3% luck on your talents here, or 9% if you put all your points into it, you wouldn't have 13% luck. You'd have, I forget the math, whatever. You might have like 15% luck or something like that. And that increases the more you have because it's multiplicative, but it's not like straight up multiplicative. There's a lot of math behind it. If you want to get into that, there's stuff that you can find on the Discord and whatnot. But just know that if you're trying to do luck things, this is good. If you aren't trying to do luck things, I would just completely ignore it. It does open up a window for strike builds, which I'll mention. Well, I'll just mention it right now. He has the sword that's Mythic Tier 2 that has a chance to proc Chain Lightning and also gives a lot of strike damage, master offers, and movement speed. It's really good for like a Lei Gong build. So if you want to use this, you're probably going to want to use the extra luck. Outside of that, probably going to skip it. Damage versus enemies above 50 is fine, but generally it's going to be overclassed by extra armor. Typically, the way I see Avoron is he is a tanky bruiser type character, similar to Crom, but a little bit more on the tankier side. So you definitely want to put points into this. I think you'd almost always put points into it, mostly because it leads to bulwark, and reducing all damage taken is insane, especially with Act 2, how much damage is coming out. So then we get onto the second row. Experience pool, if you need it, it's fine. It's same with every character. If you need it, it's nice to have. You don't have to take it. It really depends on your gear. Most experience pool comes from gloves. So if you have gloves with 3,900 pull, which I think is average, well, these have 3,000, which is the main gloves you're going to be using. But if you have like 3,900 gloves, probably don't need it. Maybe you want some extra. It really depends how far away you're killing enemies. And Avoron's normally going to be doing pretty close, so you're probably going to skip this most of the time. You're always going to take the rerolls. It's very good. This is a tough row because I don't really see a reason you should almost ever skip Vanguard. Mostly because it's going to reduce so much damage from yourself. And it kind of leads to like a whole build. And this is where Avoron gets kind of a little simpler than the other characters, I would say. because Cleansing Aura is almost completely worthless. There's just no point in it. The curses enemies put on you don't do enough damage to care about this. The negative status effects don't last long enough. They aren't harmful enough. Yes, the first boss at 7 minutes, the cursed will put stuff on you. It doesn't matter. Just fight through it. These are not worth talent points. You have attack damage here if you want to go heavy attack damage. Bulwark's insane. Riposte is very good, but it is also offensive, so it kind of depends. I tend to like Riposte better just because it's higher numbers. Higher numbers be better in most cases. So I prefer Riposte over Zeal, but there's definitely cases where you could put Zeal over Riposte, especially if you decide to skip Vanguard altogether, but that's like a whole thing if you end up in this experience build. Stoicism's incredible. More life is really good. And the reason more life is so good is because you get to lead into Holy Restoration, right? So you get more life from heals. And then Avoron's best friend is Justice, is the god Justice. Justice has arguably one of the best legendaries in the game. It's definitely the best survivability one, which is Inner Peace, which is going to heal you for a certain amount of damage, or a certain percent of your max life every second. And then once you get to full life, it starts giving you XP instead of healing you. So the more max life you have and the more healing you have, like this percent chance, or it shouldn't say chance, it should be like you restore more life. Chance is the wrong word. It's you're getting more life out of it. So if you're getting 9% more healing from Inner Peace, you're getting 9% more XP from Inner Peace. Again, ignore the actual math numbers on it. Examples, right? So, Holy Restoration, Stoicism is good. Basically, every Avoron build you'll ever play, you probably want to have Justice if you're doing optimal things. Just straight up, because of the way he has to fight. Or the way he's intended to fight, I should say. Austere Training is fine if you're trying to not be an attack or power build. You don't really have points to put stuff into this, because like powers right here gives 3%, Zeal gives 4%. Generally, you're gonna want to stick to one attack type or one damage type. So this kind of helps if you want to go into that strike build, but otherwise you're gonna leave this one alone. I'll click these so that I can see this stuff. Now, we already talked about the extra restoration from heals being incredible, especially if you get healing gear too, which is a whole nother thing. Inspired Research, very good, and you can do some funny things with it. Because of its duration being 20 seconds, and it also scales with increased duration from effects, you could actually have it last pretty long, and if you're getting enough XP, you could have basically permanent 100% attack damage, which is very powerful. Now again, that's only attack damage, so it's really only affecting your attacks, which there's a way to convert that to power further down the tree, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Your attacks have a chance to apply Smite is fine, I guess. I mean, it's 18%, which is... it's a decent amount, but it's just not... it's not really helping you as much as these other things are. Especially when it's sitting right next to Worldly Study, which is... I don't honestly know how good this is. It's one of my favorite talents in the entire game, because the amount of power you can get from rare shrines is far greater, like potentially, than a lot of the power you're going to get from 5 talent points. Now, it's entirely random, right? Sometimes you're going to have incredible shrines, sometimes you're going to have bad shrines. Hopefully with this, you'll have more incredible shrines, but this is like a gambler's talent. Your highs are going to be super, super high, but you're going to have a lower floor because you're not putting it to something that's consistent. Like, I don't know, any of these other like really good, consistent defensive talents that I was talking about. Devotion is almost... I haven't played an Avoron build where I haven't taken it. It's a 1-point wonder. Master Blessings are so much better than every other blessing. It's just like, it's so much better than expert, and even more so with this new update, that just being able to get things from expert to master, especially with expert being more common now because of the increased expert rate gain on chest pieces. That was a hard sentence to say. You're just more likely to see expert offers, so being able to upgrade to master is incredible. Avenger is pretty great. I mean, if you aren't doing inspired research, you could do Avenger. As far as I know, Exalted does not stack. If someone wants to fact check me in the comments, feel free to, but I believe it does not stack. I'm fairly certain. If you're not doing inspired research and you want to do more attack power, you'll be blocking constantly because of Vanguard and because you have to be in melee. It's pretty good. I mean, it's 100% attack damage, like 50% of the time. So, and you block 50%. You're just getting hit so much that you're gonna get it, right? Chance for expert offers, again, this really depends on what you're doing. If you are going for attack builds, I think Avenger is probably better. But if you really want to maximize your expert offers, you can take this and you can have a very high chance of getting good offers. It's also better for like a non-power attack build. This is kind of what you would go to if you aren't focused on one of those two things. If you're kind of like breaking the Avoron mold. Also, I just realized I'm like sinking in my chair. Hold up. That was probably silly to watch on the screen. Anyway, you're kind of like breaking the Avoron mold here, right? By taking the expert offers. Luminosity is very specific. So power area increase is only affecting fear and radiance, like a couple auras. It's not really doing too much at the end of the day. Like, it's fine. And if you have like a big aura build, it's fun. But the other talents on this tree are just better. So that's like a fun talent. If you're like want to mess around, you can take that. Next tree, we have Divine Protection here, which gives you a bubble. I don't think this is ever worth it. You get hit so many times, especially in Act 2. It's very hard to go hitless, and the higher you turn up the darkness level, the harder it becomes to dodge things, to the point that it's almost impossible. And I guess if you were maxing this out to 20 and then you were to, it's every 20 seconds, and then you were to take Divine Shield from Justice and max that out, you could have some type of like looping shield build. I haven't really messed with it. It's an idea. I don't think that, I mean, like, you're spending all this time trying to prevent yourself from taking damage, but you're not killing anything. So I don't know what I don't know where you're gonna get with this idea. Now we get to Consecration. This is kind of build defining. If you're a power build, you can greatly increase your output by having this, because it's only increasing the power of your damage from attacks. Let me reset and get more points. So you're getting 30% power damage as a percentage of your attack damage. If you get your 100% attack damage from Exalted constantly, then you're just straight up getting an extra 30% power damage from this. So it's very good if you want to focus on the power stuff. If you're a power build, you take this every time, all the time. You don't really think about it. And then there's this other one, which is even more interesting, and that is Tectonic Plating. So this one is based around your gear. If you can build up a lot of armor, you can get a lot of percent damage with just 3 points. So 12% damage per 100 armor. You can get several hundred armor fairly easily. You can also get extra armor from Justice. This is why I said Justice is his best friend, because like everything she has synergizes with him. You can also, I think you get armor in shrines from Act 2, I don't remember which ones exactly. You can do it from Act 1 for sure. So if, say, you could get to like 500 armor, then you're looking at 60% extra damage. Plus you have a huge amount of armor because that synergizes with Vanguard, because the amount you block is equal to your armor divided by 100. So if you have 500, you're blocking 5, which is a huge amount of damage in this game. Outflank is very good. You can kind of make a dash build with this. If you're not making a dash build, it's kind of helpful, whatever. It depends how tanky you are. It's a good defensive skill. It's a good 1-point thing. It's definitely worth it, I think, most of the time. Depends how you feel. We get to the capstones. Now, on most characters, these are very, very divisive in like how you set up your builds. I don't think it's so much the case with Avoron. And I say that because I will never take Aegis. You're planning around dying. And it doesn't give you a free revive. It gives you a 50% chance to revive. Now, obviously, I guess you could hit that 50% multiple times, but like, that's not what you want to plan around. That's not a good way to win. Then you have Guardian Angel. This is a very strong defensive ability that I believe you can increase the duration of. I don't know about reducing the cooldown. I haven't messed with it. I imagine you can, but it's probably not like a 1-to-1 ratio. It's probably not like if you reduce the cooldown by 100% that you change the cooldown to 5 seconds. I'd have to play around with that more, but I wanted to get these videos out before I it's gonna take like months before I explored literally everything. They've added so much. This one is very good. It prevents a lot of damage very easily. There is a thing where if you're playing like Retribution and you're not taking damage and you're not healing, but that's like it's a thing that almost hasn't mattered, so I wouldn't worry about it. Grand Archon of Alum is incredible. It is basically one of his signs from Act 1 converted to the final point here. You would normally take this, and if you take this, basically all your offers are going to be expert for the whole run, which is incredible. But to do that, you are giving up Guardian Angel, which is an incredible defensive power, and you're giving up Champion, which if you're an attack-based build is a must take. You don't have an option. It's 108% more attack damage. It's significantly more because of the multiplicative nature of the game, right? So if you're a full attack build, you have to take this. You don't have a choice. If you're going super defensive, you could take either of these, I think, acceptably. And I think even if you're going a power build, you're still supposed to take Champion, because you get 30% of the 108, so like slightly over 30% power damage, which really adds up when you're like stacking powers on top of each other, and all of a sudden you're just like a little aura bot sitting there destroying everything. So that's how I feel about each of the talents. I'd say they're, personally, I think most of the things on this side, like if I had to do this really quickly, my general thoughts on the talent tree are something like, we put some points into that, we put that, this is not maxed out, this. Oh, I put too many points into that, but that's okay. Life is increased, more life from heals, take that. Avenger, we take Devotion, probably like this. And then if I'm going a power build, I take this one. If I'm not doing a power build, I take Tectonic Plating. And then you can like mess around with points here and there. And then, it depends what build you're going for the final point. But this is like generally this side of the tree is just very powerful. This is going to lead you to a very tanky build. Now, to complement that, and what's very important is we need to talk about gear. So I've unequipped some stuff because, well, it's necessary. I'll make sure my camera is not in the way here. Let me move myself. I'm tiny. Okay, so for gear, for Avoron, we're gonna go over his weapons first. Basically, there's a couple unique weapons that I think are worth looking at, and otherwise, you're looking for a rare weapon that has the damage type you're after and then maybe attack speed or some other type of effect. So in this case, I have a power damage, projectiles count sword here that is good for extra lightning bolts and the rock aura from the earth from Nin. Also, I want to note on gear, I'll put a circle around it. Above the DPS is a plus 35% damage. That's a global modifier. I don't know why it's above. I think that's a mistake on the dev's part that they'll probably fix next update or whatever. But that is for all damage. All right, so weapon-wise, there is the Protector. It's another tier 2 sword. Gives you attack damage, gives you armor. Obviously, it's good because it gives you armor for the tectonic plating talent. If you're taking that, it can be good with this sword. However, we also have the Crusader. It's not quite as good as it seems because there does seem to be like some internal cooldown on the Smite and Crusader effects. Having said that, it's still a very fast attacking, fairly high DPS sword that does trigger Exalted and Smited. I think it's my favorite sword to use for just like a regular attack build. The Rock Sword is here. Again, I just wanted to show this off. I think the sword is very cool. If you want to try and play a non-traditional Avoron build, this is one of the go-tos. It has some cool effects. 144% strike damage is a lot of strike damage, and extra master offers and movement speed. Everything's just free. It's pretty high valued for what it does. And then we have the King of Avoron Swords, which is the Equilibrium unique epic from Act 1. Why is this broken? Well, what it does is makes it so that whenever you get hit, you get increased heals, regenerations, and lifesteals for 2 seconds, and you get 100% more. It also has cooldown reduction area and extra DPS, but those things don't really matter. So what you can do with this, and it really only requires 2 abilities, is you take this, and then you take Retribution from Justice. Now, by taking Retribution from Justice, every time you get hit, it triggers Equilibrium. If you get hit again, you're healing a percentage based on your Retribution level. I think it starts at 5%, and I'm not even sure what it goes up to at 10, but it's like 15%, maybe 20 even. Basically, you heal about 20% of the damage you've taken, and this happens before defense. So basically what'll happen is if you get Equilibrium and you get, say, Master Retribution, level Retribution up till it's at like 10 or 12%, and all of a sudden, as long as you're not getting like hit once and then run away and then hit once and then run away, you're going to be regaining life. And this makes Avoron effectively immortal once you have enough percent healing and enough Retribution. There's some cases where certain enemies are pretty strong against it, but you could just like walk up to the Laser Cats or the boss of Act 2 or the Insect Queen of Act 2, and they will delete themselves from attacking you. So this is the sword for Avoron. Now, as far as general gear, what I like to do personally is have something like this as a layout. This is not this. Something like this. So we have around like 300 life. We have extra heals and regens. That's coming from something. I'm not sure what. Oh, it's coming from our chest piece. And then we want to have close to 3 hardened armor as we can get to. Now, that'll obviously go up depending on what gear we put in certain places. But this is overall how I would build this character. For relic slots, your basically choices are strategically fried rice and black lamp. I think that's almost every character is the same. Unless you have a very specific relic that helps, like this one has that increased percent healing that's the same as on the Equilibrium sword. So if you combine these two, you get to like immortality status faster. But on general builds, it's not going to be quite as good as one of these 2 items. As far as belts go, you're looking at Waste as the best one, followed closely by Silk Road, which gives pull area and legend offers, but it doesn't give 100 life, and it does have armor, but it doesn't give master offers. Generally, in Act 2, what I've liked to see is to have 20% master offers at least. You can do that with the gauntlet. I think this is best in slot for Avoron and for Kront. Any heavy armor person in the future, this is currently just best in slot item. A lot of master offers, pull range, and good armor. Easy win. Torso, there's some uniques you can mess with, I think, without looking at uniques and going fancy with it. Get something with decently high armor, get something with decent amount of life, and 22.5% expert offers, because that's the max you can get. If you want to do the heal thing, you get heals on it. If you don't, you can get some more life or armor stat on your chest piece. For necklace, it really depends what you're doing. So this is where we're going to get into the difficult gear guide portion of this video, because the way the game is currently set up, it's really hard for me to say what items are good and what items aren't good. So that's why I'm going to break it. That's why I'm breaking this down by character. I'm only looking at this from like a power and attack standpoint. Basically, for Avoron, what necklaces you want are things that improve attack damage, power damage, or overall damage if you're doing something a little different. You can also get a few unique effects if you want like a dragon or something. I don't have that here, but so you use dragons and other summons for like early game help, but they don't scale as well long game. So if you want to put on a dragon, you could do that, a dragon necklace. But generally speaking, most of my necklaces are going to look, these two look about the same, right? Like they're 20% damage, 80% of their specific damage type, and then some other effect. Having one passive XP is okay. It's not amazing, but it's nice at the first couple levels. That's what I'd look for in amulets for Avoron. For headpieces, again, I haven't really seen any unique headpieces that really blow me away for heavy armor. Maybe I've missed some. It's possible. I don't have everything yet. But you want 9.8 master offers and then some combination of high armor and a decent amount of life. Obviously, it depends on what your current life is. If you already have 400 life, like that's plenty. You could drop down to like 300 or whatever to get for like a high armor piece. The other thing you can look for in heavy armor is extra counts. Like if you want to get extra power count, I think that is a drop you can get from helmets, which would be good if you're doing like a lightning bolt or rock shield build, like what this is kind of meant for. So this projectile count. Otherwise, I think you can also get like attack damage or power damage or some type of damage on your helmet. I think some other character has it. Maybe not. Maybe everyone else is just using fancy stuff. Okay, sure, whatever. I mean, you can get summons on your helmet too. You get XP gain. That's typically how I'd look for gear for the helmet piece. For the relic, I already talked about it. You look for your damage type. You look for dice. Generally, you just want one of these two uniques is what I would use for 90% of the time. Until you get a perfectly rolled relic, which has like summon or alterations and banishes, plus exactly what you're going for. But if you know what you're looking for at that point, then you don't need me on this video because it's really in-depth. And it's also very build specific, not character specific. For rings, in general, I think it's better just to get a 22.5 adept and a 21 master offer or 21 legend offer and just be done with it and just take whatever bonus you can get. You can specialize a little bit harder if you want, but generally most of the stat weight in these rings is spent on legend and adept offers. And because of the fact that you can have such high legend offers, you can almost guarantee yourself to get inner peace every run, which allows you to have more freedom and the other like blessings and what you're trying to do as a character by just being able to take the legend offers every time. Like if you throw on this black lamp, we have 27% master offers and 100% legends. We're going to get inner peace every time. It's pretty good. Jewel is kind of the same thing as ring, except it can't get legend offers. It has a little more stat weight thrown into offensive or like utility stats. So XP gain, in this case, attack damage, attack speed if you're doing an attack build. It has the same thing for power damage, You know, if you're doing a strike build, you can get some strike stuff on here. Generally speaking, what I would want with these stats, I would want the least number of stats possible so that it's optimized. For example, like this helmet, it only has 2 things, or it has like 3 things if you count armor. And because it only has 3 things, it's each item's like stat value is like split between everything on it. So because this only has 3, it's only split between the 3 things, and it has max master offer, so that's why we want it. In this case, it's split between 4 things, and we have extra duration here. So if the duration wasn't here, we could probably have more attack damage, so you could get a better jewel. I just don't have one. And then for boots, I mean, look, there's Bigfoot here, 15% life, 36 area, 30 movement speed, 32 armor. Pretty great. Really depends what you're doing. Normally, you're probably going to throw this on for the heavy characters. You could also just use a big armor, big life, movement speed, tier 2 rare. It's totally fine. I've been doing it for a while, and even on runs where I don't use this, because this like matters more with how much life you have and has less armor, so it's like really getting into the weeds with it. That is how I would look at each piece. But that's my overview for Avoron. Let me know what you guys think so I can refine this in the future videos. Avoron's a very simple character, so it's less to go over. Stuff when I get like to Maris, or when I get to Nixie, or when I get to, well, not Nixie, when I get to Scotty or Lori, there's more to talk about. But yeah, I appreciate you all for watching. Let me know the feedback in the comments so I can improve on this. And I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see you later. Jeff out. Bye.